Hello, welcome to the first episode of Syntax. Now, I'm bringing this to you to help you to learn code, because I learned code online, and if you're looking to do the same, well, I'm hoping this helps you. So we're going to start off with JavaScript. I may dabble in Ruby and other languages, but I think since it's so prevalent everywhere, we should do it. Now, you can follow along in a browser just by inspecting element, right-click, go to console. It might look a little different, but this is the idea. And, you can write JavaScript right there in the console. Now, I'm going to be writing it in Node, so if you want to follow along with me in a terminal, go ahead and download it and get to your terminal. And once you've done all that, you can just type Node, and we'll make this a little bigger. And here you go. So, to start off with programming, you need to know that really it's not as hard as you think it might be. It is really just data and manipulating that data. Like any app you've ever thought of, Twitter, Uber, Lyft, whatever, they're just manipulating data, taking data information in and sending it out, So it's important to know what data types are, right? So we have number in JavaScript. I don't know why I did that. It's probably, yeah, okay, good. So with number, you can do simple math, right? Now, you have two different types of numbers in most programming languages. You have an integer, which is the non-decimal type, and you have a float, which is when it's a fraction. So that's one data type. The other one that's new to you, if you've never been doing any kind of programming, is a string. Now, a string is just characters. Like we use this to store text, words, paragraphs, novels, whatever. Well, maybe not a novel. And it can be single quote, string, or double, and that's just up to your preference. Doesn't quite matter too much. Now, of course, these things can all be tied to variables. So in JavaScript, you say a variable, a var is defined, or is a reserved word. So I can assign a variable to 2 to x, and maybe y to 3. And now, of course, when I do some arithmetic, I get the 5, right? Let's slide this over a little bit. There we go. So those are data types. Strings also have, so let's keep going. So there's another data type, and it's called the array. So when you collect these data types together, including a variable we made earlier, this is called an array. So it's just denoted with a bracket on the left and right, and it's a collection of data types, basically. And we'll go into arrays a lot more later, but they're very important data structure. And again, all these data types are just ways of organizing our data, the way that we interact with data in the world and how we do it in our code. The next one that's up is, so this is a list, right? This is an ordered list. I should keep going, actually. So arrays also have indexes underneath the hood. So you can't tell here, but technically there are numbers like IDs, like a library card, or a library indexing system, where inherently this is a really bad example. This is got an index of 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I can prove that here. If I do give me the index of 0, we're going to get this first one back. Now, why 0? It's because it's 0th away from the first item. There's no divisions. This is one part away from the first, this is 2 parts away from the first, and that's kind of how it's thought of. And so this is called bracket notation. This right here, what I'm doing, if I want the third index, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and there you have it. Index. So arrays are ordered, they have an index to them. You can grab items specifically by that index. Now, other data structures that you might use are objects, or in other languages they're called hashes or dictionaries, and these are key value pairs. So you have like a key and a value, right? And we can just say this is an object. Okay, so when we use that same function we were using before, where we were using bracket notation, we can say, hey, give me the value for this key, or we cannot. I'm probably doing something wrong. Object key. See, we're going to be learning JavaScript together. There you go. This was Ruby syntax. So key value, right? Separated by a colon. This is an object. This is also similar to JSON, which we'll see in another minute, but JSON is just JavaScript object notation, right? So objects are just key value pairs, and they can be long, and they don't have an order to them. So we can have several items in here. They can be different types of data structures. We said we had the array earlier, and that can be all kinds of things. So you can see how you can start structuring your data. You'll see in a lot of programming stuff, maybe examples of a person where you have their name, right, and their age, and there's different. I'm not going to put my age, and so you have this idea of objects, and when you have this stuff in JavaScript, you can also do dot notation instead of bracket notation. Both are valid, and there's different reasons to do either one, but there you have it. And I'm not sure what happens when we look at something that's not there. Okay, you get undefined in JavaScript. That's great. Sometimes in other languages you get a hard error if you try to do a dot notation on something that's not there. All right, so we've covered numbers, strings, arrays, dictionaries, or objects in JavaScript as they're called. So, this is a lot. If you start grokking this and playing around in a console with these things, like, you are going to be on your way to learning what code is all about, because this is what day-to-day programmers use every day. This is what they get into. They're mostly just messing around with these data types. And I think actually I might just stop it there. I don't want to overwhelm anybody who's new to all this stuff. I will say that if you want to learn more about this in JavaScript, you can go to this website right here. W3 Schools is sometimes not the greatest, but I think for data types, this is pretty clear. And hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks. Bye-bye.